Hello, and welcome to Understanding the Proven CRM, Sales Pipelines, and Opportunities. My name is Ryan Pritchard, and I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing here at Can-Am Systems. Now, before we get started in today's Proven Learning session, I wanted to go through a couple of quick housekeeping items. Today's session will be hosted through Zoom webinar, and all of our sessions, upon completion, will be recorded and made available on our YouTube channel. Please note that these sessions are pre-recorded, so any questions that you may have on today's session, we ask that you submit them to our support center through support@canamsys.com, and someone will be able to contact you directly to answer any questions or additional information you may have on today's topic. Our session today is actually going to be broken down into 5 main sections, starting off by understanding industry types and what relevance they have in Proven CRM today. Once we've identified our industry types, we're going to go through and set up a sample sales pipeline, so you can see how you can utilize sales pipelines in your CRM system today. And within each stage of our sales pipeline, we'll also take a look at how to set up important and required information that you may want to capture during each of our different sales stages. Once we've finished setting up our pipeline, we'll take a look at creating new opportunities. And of course, once we start setting up opportunities, how do we go in and modify, change, and update these opportunities inside the CRM? Once we have enough opportunities in our sales pipeline, we can start to take a look at our dashboard through sales opportunities, as well as some of the reports that you can generate out of Proven CRM to get a better overview on where our sales opportunities are, and more specifically, how do we segregate these between our salespeople, our industry types, as well as being able to move them through our pipeline seamlessly. All right, let's get started. In our first chapter, we're going to look at setting up industry types in Proven CRM. And I'm going to jump into the live system, starting off at our main dashboard screen. Now, once you've logged into the CRM, in order to be able to properly set up our opportunities, we're going to need to navigate over to My Company and jump into the definitions section. Now, keep in mind, in order to access the definitions section in the CRM, you will need to have company admin security privileges. Once we click on the definitions section, you'll see that all the things that we need to set up our sales opportunities are categorized underneath the sales opportunities section. And to get started, we'll want to come in here and identify our industry types in the system. Now, industry types can be looked at from a number of different ways. Industry types can be the different markets or sectors that we want to have sales pipelines set up for. And an easy way to distinguish the different industry types that we want to have in our system all boils down to how our sales process is set up within our business. If we're going to have different sales strategies for different markets or different industry groups, we want to make sure that we can separate them appropriately. In my example here, I have a number of different groups set up, from our property managers to restoration contractors, plumbers, as well as private jobs and adjusters. You'll be able to come in here and set up any sort of industry types that you want. And once they're defined in the system, what's important is that as we create new organizations in the system, we want to make sure that we'll be able to come in here and associate them to one of our industry types. If I log into an organization record and I navigate down to near the bottom part of our screen, you'll see my industry type field. This will give us the opportunity to align our organization with one of the industry types that we've created in the system. And why this is important is because when we go to start to set up our opportunities, if we've defined the opportunity type or industry type in this organization record, it will automatically set us up in the appropriate sales pipeline. Once we've defined that industry type in the system, it's going to ask us to go in and now start to define our sales pipeline inside the CRM as well. And these are all connected together. So we want to make sure that we've defined these in an appropriate order so that once we've defined our industry type, the next thing that we want to take a look at is our sales stages. Moving into our next section here, setting up sales stages and pipelines can also be found inside of the CRM definitions as well. Now, a lot of times customers will ask, what are the sales stages that I should use? And the examples that you see before you are what we see in a typical sales stage for someone selling to business or business to consumer. These sales stages are customizable in your CRM system. And ultimately, we want to make sure that we've defined the different stages within our organization, and more specifically, if the stages and labeling that we use changes between our industry types. Jumping into the live system, we're going to navigate back into our definitions inside of our company settings. So again, starting from within our dashboard, simply navigating into My Company and down into Definitions will allow us to come in here and access our opportunity sales stages. Now remember, in order to create sales stages, we need to have our industry type set up first. In here, this will allow us to go in and now define the labels within our system. So in my case, I'm going to have my first sales stage be called prospecting. And once I've added my sales stage, I want to make sure that I come up here and hit the save icon. If I go in and add a new item, this will remove the text that's showing up in here below so that I don't overwrite an existing sales stage. You do need to be careful that if you jump into the screen and a stage is selected, that you do hit new item before typing over this information. I'm going to jump into an industry type that already has my stages set up so we can see what a completed pipeline will look like. When I click on my property managers, you can now see in here, I have a number of stages that are defined within the system. And just beside the stage name, you'll see a numerical value that lets us know where these fall in sequential order. If, for whatever reason, I need to change the order of my sales stages, you can simply grab the corner. You'll notice that your cursor will change into a move icon when we hover over these 4 dots. And this will allow us to, again, move this in any position that I want within my sales stage pipeline. Now, keep in mind, if we do this on an active pipeline, this will change all of the current opportunities that are in our sales stage pipeline. So we do have to be careful when modifying these on an existing pipeline in the system. If we go into an opportunity record that has not had these sales stages defined, it will warn us in the system that we need to set these up before we can proceed in the system. And so this is something that when we're looking on our menu items inside of the system, we can come into the opportunities in here and directly from within our menu option, jump into the opportunities module. Now, I have a pipeline that has not yet been set up. So as soon as we jump into our opportunities, it's going to ask me to set those sales stages up before I can move any further. And by clicking the start button here, This will immediately take me back to our definitions and allow me to add in our sales stages. Now, in our next section, we're going to take a look at setting up required information. And by this, I mean, what are the types of information that we would need to capture throughout our sales stage process? This could be everything from identifying key contacts within our opportunity, perhaps capturing critical information like dates or notes that will help us move this relationship through our pipeline. It may also contain required information that will prevent our salespeople from moving an opportunity without capturing all the information that's necessary to moving this to the next stage of our pipeline. Jumping into the live system, the first thing we need to make sure that we do is that we access the appropriate industry and that we jump into the pipeline where we want to add our required information. In this case, by clicking on our prospecting, it highlights in blue and will show this button in the far right-hand corner called Form Items. This is where we can now start to add the different elements within our sales stage. When I click in here, you'll see that at this current stage, we have no required pieces of information. And on the right-hand side, will allow us to come in here and identify what type of information we want to put in. In this case, for our property managers, we want to know the number of locations that they manage. And depending on the type of answer that I get, I want to make sure that I identify the type of field appropriately. This will give us the ability to come in here and use an input field to type in any sort of alphanumeric values, letters, numbers, and symbols. If I need this to be a specific format, perhaps like a phone number or date, or even an email address, I can require a specific field formatting. Once selected, it will ask me to define the field mask, which again is typically just the way we would see that phone number showing up in our system. Now, these can be defined for certain types of fields, but in my case, I'm just putting in a numeric value, and I don't want to have any sort of stipulations in my system. Now, in order to move away from this pipeline, I do want to make sure that our team captures this information. So I will make this field required so that we cannot bypass it before moving on to the next stage. At the top, it's important that before we move into our next element or close out, that we hit save to ensure that that item has been added into my stage. And you can see now our label is showing here. And if I want to bring this data back, I can simply click on it and it'll bring it back into the right-hand side. Now, much like our sales stages, we do need to make sure that when we're adding a new item, we are not overwriting the information we have on our screen. To add our next item, we'll just click Add New Item. It'll clear our form, and it will allow us to go in and identify the next piece of item that we've wanting to add into our pipeline. In this case, I want to come in here and ask that our team do some research online. And because I'm not asking them to put in any sort of specific information, I can come in here and ask it to be a quick checkbox selection. And if I want those selection items to be different between yes or no, I can simply separate them by comma before saving them in my list. And another example that we can use can be required to put in dates and times of when certain actions have taken place. In this case, I've asked for our next follow-up or touch point date, and I'm going to use this as a way of requiring our team to ensure that they have planned ahead and put in when that next touch point needs to happen. Again, making this required will avoid our team from bypassing this requirement before moving on to the next stage. Now, once I have this information set up, I also have the ability to come in here and search throughout this information if I want to find a specific detail. It is a fuzzy logic search, so any piece of information that you find inside the field below will allow us to come down here and sort or search within our form tools. If I need to remove an item from my list, simply selecting it, so it's highlighted in blue, and coming up to the trash can icon will allow us to remove this item from our list. Now, keep in mind that when working in an active sales pipeline, we do have to make sure before deleting any of the fields on our list that this information isn't already being used by our team. Once you delete this information, the data contained within this field will no longer exist within our pipeline. And this is something that cannot be recovered within the CRM itself. As a best practice, we usually recommend not deleting items in the system unless absolutely necessary. Now that I've come in here and defined some elements on my form, it's now time to move on to our next stage. Now that we've set up our industry type and sales pipeline, it's now time to go in and start adding organizations and contacts into our opportunities module. Now, being able to navigate through our opportunities module means that we need to go in to the Proven CRM and navigate to the opportunities feature inside of the CRM. You'll be able to see this information from our main menu by simply opening up our menu item and coming down into the opportunities module. The icon in here looks like a little dartboard with a bullseye, and when I click on it, it will take me into our opportunities pipeline. Now, I'm going to be coming through our pipeline and accessing it through my salesperson record, so I only see my opportunities in the system. There is the ability in here to obviously sort and filter this by any of the salespeople within our office. And depending on how you have your industry type set up, it'll always pick the first industry type in our list. If I want to go through and navigate to our different industry types, I can simply click this drop down at the top, and it'll allow me to toggle through our different pipelines in the system. In here, I also have the ability at the top to come in here and search for specific opportunities and organizations using keyword search, or create a new opportunity by clicking on the three dots here in the top left-hand corner. You can see in here, it gives me the ability to add an opportunity, select an organization or contact, or simply just clear our fields. When I open up a new opportunity window, moving from the top down, it allows me to come in here and select an organization that may already exist within our system. In here, as soon as I select that opportunity, it automatically puts in an opportunity name that matches, in my case, the organization record itself. This does not have to be the same name, so we can come in here and write Master Service Agreement Proposal. And I can change this to be anything that I want, where the verbiage will make sense to me on the type of opportunity that this is. Now you can see based on the user that's logged in, it automatically fills in my name for the created by, and allows me to come in here and also define a contact within this office if we have a contact here that I can select from. Now, this is indeed optional, and we do not have to have a contact in here to select. But if you are selecting a contact, it will also fill in the organization automatically for you, as we cannot have a floating contact in the system. Our expected close date is really when we expect this relationship to get to the point where they're referring work to us directly. And I can pick any point in time that I want for that expected close date in the system. This also allows us to indicate how long I should have to wait before moving this to our next stage. And this will also give us our date picker, where I want to make sure that I can have my next stage updated before August the 8th. And if time passes where we have not updated this, I can also have different colors that highlight on my sales stage pipeline based on how many days have passed without any update being done in the system. And you can see I have a couple of different examples here where I can come in here and choose any color that I want and any day that I want to update this pipeline or color for my different sales stages. Our industry type is blank because I didn't select it prior to adding this into our opportunity bucket. And when I choose this, it will also restrict which sales stages I have the ability to move this to based on that same pipeline in the system. Separate from our opportunity is our lead source. And this allows us to go into the system and identify where we met or the relationship originated from, not to be confused with our referral source, which we see coming in from the job that helps us to identify the origin of a job or referral coming into your office. This is specific to our relationship and will allow us to identify at the end of the year or the quarter where a lot of these relationships originated from. Now, if I haven't updated my industry type in the system, as soon as I select that lead source or industry type, it's going to allow me to go back and update that directly from our opportunity record. So in here, I can check that off so I don't have to go back and fill that in a second time. The probability is just the likelihood of this moving into our next stage, and again, is really subjective up to the person creating this opportunity. And the amount can be anything from a dollar amount or perhaps the number of opportunities I think that I can get from somebody in a single year period. Our description is really just a free-form type field that allows us to put any notes that we want on this opportunity. I can put in things like my main contact or don't call the office, call the cell phone directly. And this is just allowing me to see these notes from our opportunity window so that I don't have to go in and drill down into our notes section. The assign to is only if I decide to take this opportunity and assign it to another staff member. If I choose to use this information and assign it to myself, I can just select myself from the list and come up to the top and hit save and close. Now, again, this will add our opportunity directly into our sales pipeline. We can see here, there's my best home renovations and my Heather Mains. And you can see in here that it's already highlighted this color based on the stipulations that I put in the logs itself. And you can see here it's identified who's accountable using my initials, as well as the last time it was updated 4 seconds ago, our opportunity number, which in my case is 45, and when this needs to be updated by, which in my case is within 10 days. Clicking on our opportunity record will take us into our opportunity details. And in here, will show us the different stages that we built back on our definitions, allowing me to see what I need to do to get this from start to finish. And each time I either update my sales pipeline or I update anything within the opportunity record, this activity log will give me a reference as to who, when, and what was updated within this opportunity. We can see at the side that original form that I filled out is still available in here if I need to make any sort of changes or edits. Of course, once completed, allows me to come in here and close back to our previous window. Below here will show me all of the different stages that I have to choose from, and ultimately what information is required to moving this throughout our pipeline. Now, in here, if I want to modify or update my sales pipeline, you can see that when I hover over an opportunity, it turns blue and allows me to grab and drag our opportunity to any of the stages within my pipeline. Now, due to the form items that we added, if there is any required field that needs to be put in to our opportunities, the system will prompt me to say, you need to fill these fields out before you can move this to our next stage. And within our prospecting bucket, it gave me a number of opportunities to fill this information in. The year they were incorporated, the number of locations that they have, the number of potential claims we can get from this organization, whether or not I researched them on Google. This will allow me to identify their revenue between 3 and 5 million. And my next follow-up date will be scheduled to be on the 5th of August. Once I come in here and I hit update, you can see that it's now moved my opportunity into our third stage in the system. And again, if I don't have any required fields between my stages, it will allow me to jump directly from stage 1 to stage 3 as long as I've met all my requirements. You will also see here at the top that at any point in time, if we start receiving referrals from these organizations, I can mark this as a won or sold opportunity. And likewise, if at any point in time in our pipeline, we are given a hard no, or there's no potential opportunity for us to generate business, this will allow us to come in here and mark this as lost. You can also see here the dots at the side are where we have the opportunity to come in here and delete this from our sales pipeline. And keep in mind that from a security perspective, the ability to add, edit, and delete are all based on your permissions within the opportunities module. And this is something that inside the system, we can access and modify by simply coming into My Company and Permissions, selecting our role within the system will allow us to now drill down into that opportunities module to determine whether we want to give those permissions out or not. In addition to this, I have the ability to come in here and search by our keywords as well. So if I'm looking for something specific within a pipeline in the system, I can come in here and filter by name, opportunity, dollar amount. This will allow me to search for any piece of information that sits within that opportunity. And of course, I can bounce between the different opportunities in our system, and I can use this as well. This also gives us the ability that, much like the highlighting of our opportunity in the system, just underneath our initial form, I can come in here and create labels that allow me to come in here and identify items that I can now attach to my opportunity as a visual representation. Things like on hold, proposal pending, package sent, opportunity completed. And by coming in here, this will give us the ability to select those labels and attach them to our opportunity itself. When I click close, you'll now see the icon showing in here as our label, and you can have multiple colors attached for status or opportunity stages that will now visually show us, without having to drill into our record, what things we need to see from a top-down perspective. Last but not least, we're going to take a look at reviewing the opportunities dashboard and reports that are available in Proven CRM. Starting from our opportunity pipeline view, jumping into the live system, you'll notice here at the top, by default, it takes us into a pipeline view when we start, but allows us also to switch to a grid view if I want to analyze this data in the system using all the same tools that I would have available through our lookup screens and our reports, allowing me to add or remove columns, as well as the ability to come in here and group by any of these criterias. For instance, if I wanted to come in here and group by stage, I could, and it would allow me to come in here and identify all of the different opportunities that I have based on the stages that they've fallen into. This also allows us to go into our reports menu and access the same information. By clicking on opportunities by organization, I'll have a different report or view that I can use that allows me to sort, filter, and even export this data to PDF, Excel, Word, and CSV. I want to thank everyone for all of their time and attention today. If you have any questions on Proven CRM or the Opportunities module, please submit tickets to support@canamsys.com, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you have or help your team get set up. Thank you again for your time today, and have a fantastic day.